Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ina Dufresne-Dario, and it is an honor to be guiding this beautiful program to celebrate Dale Andrew Spychka's life. On behalf of the family, thank you for being here, and let's begin this celebration of a very well-lived life. It is love that has gathered us here to remember and honor the life of Dale Spychka. We know that he was a son, a brother, an uncle, sports enthusiast, beloved co-worker, and a friend to many. Indeed, each one of you are here with a piece of Dale's memory that is personal to you. When our loved ones have passed, there is an indelible impression left on our hearts, and this gathering, this celebration of life, is the beginning of where you all come together to share your part of Dale's story. Or as Diana said when we first met, Dale's last great adventure. Yeah. As we pay tribute to Dale's life, it is clear what an impact he made in this world. It seems that every person he ever met, worked with, played sports with, was a friend in the biggest capacity. And the tributes that are out there, not just on the memorial sites, but on LinkedIn and everywhere possible on social media, are incredible, to say the least. In fact, Bill sent me down a rabbit hole last night, and there was much to be said and shared. And of course, his family and his brother Johnny, who was unable to be here, but is going to appear above us here on video, has much to say from the family. So let's begin with Johnny's eulogy.
My brother Dale and I were going down the first fairway at the Twin Willows Golf Course in northwest Edmonton one morning. The course was quiet, the air was crisp, the sun not warm enough yet to burn the dew off the grass. We had our hot Starbucks in hand, and we were together and happy to be doing what we'd done since we were kids. Routine, tradition, family, that's our Dale. My name is John Spychka. I am Dale's brother. I'm up here today with my mother, Diana, and my three sisters, Peggy, Michele, and Kim. The following is a collection of memories and anecdotes from Dale's family. We hope they paint a portrait of Dale for you, a portrait of the loving, caring, and generous person he was. A little while back, my son, Dimitri, and I were at one of those big hockey warehouse stores shopping for a pair of new skates. I got to talking with the young person there who was helping us, and he said he was a goalie. I told him that goalies were crazy. Why would you want 6 foot, 3 inch, 225 pound players drilling a frozen rubber puck at you at 90 kilometers an hour, all just for fun? Doesn't make sense. And you almost need to be made of rubber yourself to be a goalie. or be a contortionist, putting your body in all kinds of unnatural positions to stop the puck. As most of you know, Dale was a goalie. He played pretty much all his life, hanging up the skates only a few years ago. I think one of the reasons Dale loved goaltending is not because you need to be a little crazy, but because it's the final bastion that defends the team. Goaltenders protect. Although the youngest of us kids, Dale represented the family guard, always putting the needs of others before his own. My sister Michele remembers when she first started going from Peace River to Edmonton for her kids' sporting events. She was nervous driving in the city, so Dale would always meet her at a McDonald's on the west side so that she could follow him to his place. Then he would parallel park her car in front of his apartment for her just to make sure she was safe. And if she ever needed a place to stay for the weekend, usually with 5 or 6 kids in tow, Dale would let them crash at his 1-bedroom apartment. Then he would get up early the next day for his coffee, and not wanting to wake anyone up, tiptoe through a maze of little sleeping bodies on the floor. Michele got to sleep on the couch. When he got back, Michelle's car would have been miraculously filled with gas by the gas monkeys, as Dale would say. And Sister Kim recalls one time when she and Michele went from Peace River to Edmonton for Tanis, that's Kim's stepdaughter, for Tanis's stagette. Let's just say they had a lot of fun because it was a stagette. Around 2 a.m., they called Dale to pick them up. Dale had already been in bed for quite some time, but being the great baby brother that he was, he threw on some clothes and drove halfway across the city to get them. When Dale showed up, Dave, a male blow-up doll, was with them. Dale just shook his head and said, "Get in the truck, you dorks." And everyone got home safely that night, thanks to Dale. Dale was always there for his nieces and nephews, and grandnieces and grandnephew. He was so proud of them all, sharing news and pictures of them with friends and colleagues. I remember my kids getting excited every year when Uncle Dale's Christmas box arrived, and we put his carefully wrapped gifts under the tree. He was notorious for his meticulously wrapped gifts. He just used so much tape. Kim says she will always remember how supportive Dale was with her kids, encouraging them in every way. Kyle, Kim's son, agrees. He told me that whenever Dale would call his house looking for his mom, he would always take time to ask how he was doing. And Dale would remember what they'd spoken about previously. That meant a lot to Kyle as a kid. A self-proclaimed pie-in-the-sky kid with big dreams, Kyle appreciated Dale's belief in him and support. Dale also shared words of wisdom and encouragement with Cara, Kim's daughter, and Zoé, my daughter, when they asked him about career guidance. He was always there for everyone. Sometimes Dale could be a hard person to get a hold of. It was sort of a running family gag that he would never answer his home phone. When cell phones came along, he seemed to doggedly pursue this habit, rarely answering his cell phone or text messages. Now you may think, he just didn't want to talk to me. Well, it wasn't only me. Our dad would call me and say, "Dale's not answering his phone again." Well, it was a good thing I had a hack for this. But it only worked during the winter months when Dale wasn't golfing. I would call him on Saturday mornings between 7 and 8 because I knew he would be sitting at his favorite Starbucks in Edmonton, either doing the Saturday crossword puzzle or reading a book on his iPad or Kindle. Dale read a great deal and liked to support local authors like Karen Dudley. Those Saturday mornings, we often ended up speaking for hours about the latest gadget he wanted, how long he stood in line for the newest iPhone, his latest recipe, geocaching, photography, golf, or why the Oilers were so bad. And on the rare occasion, so good. There was comfort in Dale's routine, stability. Family tradition meant everything to Dale. Our mom recalls the chats she would have with him. She would call him when he was walking home from work, which she did every day during the week, and they would talk till long after he got home. About anything, just catching up. She also remembers the flowers. Dale would never miss a birthday or a Mother's Day or a special occasion. Mom and Dale often swapped recipes, both of them having a passion for cooking. And when Dale would visit, he would always leave with Mom's handmade washcloths and scrubbies. Mom says, "He was my baby and will always have a special place in my heart." Michele remembers that Dale always thought of others before himself and that he had been there for her on several occasions. He was always available to talk if she was having a hard time. And even though he was the youngest, she valued his opinion immensely. She also liked having him along on shopping trips to West Edmonton Mall. Dale would mosey along with her, keeping an eye on everyone. When she would pop into a store, knowing Michele, that was quite often, he didn't rush her or seem irritated with all the stops. And then when she came out of a store and couldn't spot Dale right away, he would magically appear next to her. Speaking of shopping, Edna, Dale's stepmother, remembers how she and Dale would go Christmas shopping. It was something that Dale didn't seem to mind doing. Or, as Edna says, at least he didn't complain about it. And when Edna was in Edmonton, they would watch Oilers games together or take in a Trappers baseball game. She introduced Dale to Chicago deep dish pizza, and he introduced her to Louisiana Purchase. Both were hits. And Dale also took Edna for her first iced coffee, which wasn't such a big hit. Edna also remembers the time in 2003 when Dale somehow got tickets to the very first NHL Heritage Classic game in Edmonton. He invited our dad, Roy, who was ecstatic to go with him. Many of you may remember it was freezing cold that day. Must have been -30 with the wind chill. But they were troopers and stayed and watched the entire game. True blue hockey fans, both of them. And probably blue because of the cold as well. A common thread we have all shared since we were kids is the love of pierogies. They always seem to be part of memorable events in our lives. As kids, we would compete against each other to see who could eat the most at Sunday supper. At least Dale and I did. Excuse me. At least Dale and I did. I think my sisters were more reasonable. We can all make pierogies, but my mom's pierogies are the best. Even with her recipe, none of us seem to be able to make them just like she does, except Dale. Although, my sisters may disagree. And we've got a standing discussion going about folding and pinching pierogies by hand versus using a plastic pierogi maker. Some say the pierogi maker is faster, but it lacks the love of handmade pierogies, which is a key ingredient for the best tasting pierogies. Dale, of course, made pierogies by hand only. One of the favorite memories of our stepfather Bill, is when he and Dale went golfing together in Kelowna on Christmas Eve one year. When they got home, they would wolf down dozens of fresh pierogies that Mom had just made for them. Golfing and pierogies, the ingredients of a perfect day. My fondest pierogi memory is when Dale and I used to make them at Ukrainian Christmas online. He was in Edmonton, I was in Quebec City. We'd have all the ingredients ready in our respective kitchens, our laptops propped up on the counter, and away we'd go. I'd follow Dale's instructions, starting with the dough, which was tricky to get just right. The secret for the best dough, I'm told, is to use the water from the boiled potatoes you use to make the filling. Maybe that's not such a secret anymore. Sorry, Mom. Anyway, 5 or 6 hours later, and about 120 pierogies each, we'd sit at our dining room tables, laptops still on, and enjoy our feast together. Pierogies were a strong tradition in our family that Dale loved. Another tradition that Dale loved was golfing on Saturday and Sunday in the summer with his buddies, Doug, Marcel, aka Festus. Sounds like there's a story behind that nickname, we never know. And Billy, with Tyler on deck to complete the foursome when needed. They golfed together at the same course for some 25 years. To my knowledge, Dale never missed a weekend unless it was raining too hard or he was on vacation. And every year, on March 14th, Pie Day, Dale would take several of his homemade pies to his office to share with his work colleagues. And his non-work friends and family had to settle with drooling over the pictures of the pies he'd send us. Not quite the same. As most of you know, pi is a mathematical constant. It never changes. I like to think that Dale also liked Pi Day because it gave him the opportunity to be a human constant. He personified it. Dale loved to play all kinds of sports: volleyball, hockey, golf, cross-country skiing, and mountain biking, for example. One time, Dale came out to visit, and we went golfing and mountain biking at the Bic Provincial Park along the shores of the St. Lawrence River in eastern Quebec. Bic is a beautiful park with stunning views and large rock formations jutting from the river. It was raining pretty hard that day when we got to the mountain bike trailhead. Determined to get our ride in, we set off, hoping it might clear up. It did not. At the end of the day, we were soaked and caked in mud, but had had a blast and were happier than ever. It turned out to be one of our best rides. Now, being the youngest of 5 children, Dale may have been picked on a bit by a few of his siblings. I think we probably all razzed him, likely because we were jealous of him being Mom's favorite. One of my 3 sisters, I dare not say which one, tells the story of how one day when we were much younger, Dale secretly followed her to the end of the cul-de-sac we lived on, where all her friends were hanging out. Dale saw our sister, smoking a cigarette. Being a good little brother, he said, "I'm going to tell on you." Now, my sister's pretty good at thinking on her feet, so she said, "Wait, it's not that bad. Try it." Figuring that if Dale tried it, he couldn't tell on her. So apparently, Dale took a puff and turned green, yellow, and nearly every other color in the book. She, whoever that she may be, knows she was being the big bad sister. But Dale forgave her, although it may have taken a few years. Many of you may not know this, but Dale had a lifelong interest in acting. In high school, Dale was in a few plays, including starring as Floyd in the high school production of Pink Floyd The Wall, and starring as Eric in Breakfast in America. Mom remembers Dale coming home from school after rehearsals, very distant and not himself. She realized later he was in his role. He seemed to be method acting at 16 years old. That's how committed he was. He and I often talked about him joining a local theater troupe. He shared with me once how he would like to write plays, maybe even present something at the Fringe Theater Festival in Edmonton. I encouraged him. His interest in acting may explain why he loved watching movies and knew so much about them. You could name almost any movie, and he could tell you something about it because chances were he had watched it. I remember one time in 2008, my family went to Switzerland on a house exchange, and Dale decided to join us about halfway through the trip. It was a good thing he did, because we were getting lost all the time. And being the gadget geek he was, Dale brought with him a shiny new handheld global positioning system, also known as a GPS for the younger kids out there, the young adults. Anyway, Dale safely navigated us through the Swiss highways and byways with his new device. The GPS also served for geocaching, something Dale was passionate about back then. I remember one cache we were looking for in the Swiss countryside was hidden in a patch of poison ivy. Dale, always the protector, told everyone to stay back as he delicately treaded through the poison ivy to recover the cache and the treasure. Just to wrap up, I believe Debbie from DBB will say a few words on behalf of Dale's work family. Although I did not know them, Dale always talked to me about his friends at work in a good way, or should I say, in a very good way. He loved you guys, and we know you are all a big part of his life. And to honor Dale, we'll be serving a light snack, which includes Widenowski's sausage, which was Dale's favorite. He would always grab some Widenowski's before going on a road trip to Peace River or to Kelowna. Chris Cordy, one of Dale's childhood friends, called it Dale's travel food. And in fact, the tradition of Ukrainian sausage in a bun with or without cheese stems from our family vacations going from Peace River to Edmonton in our Chevy station wagon to visit relatives and friends. Mom would have a good supply of sausage and buns on hand to get us through the trip. I think she fed us mainly to keep us 5 kids quiet. But Dale kept up that tradition. And a special family thank you to Doug Loveson from Friesen Brothers for providing the buns and the cheese and the mustard, and of course, the pies. Dale and Doug played minor hockey together in Peace River, pretty much from Adams right through to midgets, meaning just after they started walking to when they could drive, more or less. Thank you, Doug. Means a lot. In closing, we would like to deeply thank the family, the friends, and the colleagues here on social media and on the live stream for sharing in our grief and sadness and for celebrating Dale's life with us today. Knowing that Dale was surrounded by people who loved him brings us comfort and strength. Thank you.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. All right, and indeed, we will invite Debbie up to share a little bit about Dale's experience at work. Yay.
I was recently going through some old files, and I came across a folder with candidates I was interviewing for a production artist position. And in there was Dale's application and my interview notes. Along with my handwritten notes was a large word that I wrote on a yellow Post-it note. It said, "Wow," in large letters. What a better way to describe how it felt when we first met. He was everything we were looking for and more. And we had the pleasure and honor of working with him for over 11 years. We had our own celebration of life for Dale, our Dale. Our unique, quirky, would do anything for any one of us Dale. Everyone just loved him. You just had to sit in on the monthly employee nominations to hear how many times his name was mentioned as we thanked him for going the extra mile, for always being willing to jump in and help, and for making all of our jobs that much easier. We have a tradition at DDB when we're celebrating someone special. We ask employees to come up with one word to best describe that person. Here were the words that were submitted to describe Dale. Selfless, bubbly, true blue, animated, genuine, kind, amiable, great guy, altruistic, companion, forthright, compassionate, thoughtful, gentle, witty, sparkling, warm-hearted, sweet, sunlit, and joyful. Everyone who's reached out has shared their favorite memory, and it's a common one. Dale's baking and his love for bringing in pies for all of us to enjoy, especially on Pie Day. He was our boots on the ground IT guy and loved that responsibility. All of us at one time or another has reached out to have him help us fix something on our computer. He just knew everything. And for me, he just had to come and stand behind me and suddenly everything magically worked. He loved being the expert and the one you would go to and lean on. I know how much he loved being needed by all of us. We work in a small, tight-knit advertising community where everyone knows everyone, and Dale was no exception, as you can see by this room today. A few DDBers even worked with Dale previously at either Inhouse or Red. Seeing our past and present DDBers here today is a testament to how much he was respected. He touched a lot of people in his lengthy and meaningful career. He didn't have many relatives here in town, but we all heard family stories and saw photos of his nieces and nephews when they were getting married and having children, on how he was planning on visiting his mother and Bill in the Okanagan, and his dad in Edna and Peace River. We heard all about the golf games and the sisters coming in for visits and everyone sleeping everywhere in his apartment. He often brought up the trip he made to visit John and Marie-Josée in Quebec City, and was usually, but not surprisingly, the family photographer. His favorite thing was to be a fly on the wall and take pictures. He was just so proud. He even did that for us at our company events, sporting the same black suede vest with the light-up reindeer nose at almost every one of our Christmas parties. But we were his family here. He had a huge heart and would do anything for any of us in his quiet, unassuming manner. It was hard for Dale not being in the office during the pandemic, but when we opened our doors back up, he was the first one to sign up. And while we may have only had a one-day-a-week policy at the time, Dale was there every single day, wanting to rekindle that sense of community. Knowing he passed away on the golf course, doing what he loved most in the world, and with his closest golfing crew, a group with whom we golf with every weekend for the past 25 years, gives us some solace. We are all comforted knowing he was with good friends. And I'm sure he had that new navy blue Tilly hat that he had just bought that week and was showing off to me that Thursday. We will all miss hearing him bang on his desk when he was excited or frustrated, his boisterous voice when he was passionate about something, and his stomping, shuffling feet. He would walk back and forth through our department in such a funny way. He was the first call I made every morning between 9 and 9:15, and I miss that. We are all still heartbroken. Dale, I hope you can feel how much you meant to all of us and know how much you will be missed.
Absolutely beautiful, Debbie. Thank you. She was worried she wouldn't be able to get through it, so beautiful. So many nods in the heads out there of Dale's co-workers. Now we're going to have another beautiful tribute slideshow, so sit back and enjoy, and we'll see a little bit more of Dale.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel rail, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to train your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes for trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for change? Did you exchange a walk-on part in the wall for a lead role in a cage? How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. Wish you were here.
Kids are in town for a funeral, so pack the car and dry your eyes. I know they got plenty of young blood left in them, and plenty nights under pink skies you taught them to enjoy. So clean the house, clear the drawers, mop the floors, and stand tall like no one's ever been here before or at all. And don't you mention all the inches that are scraped on the door frame. We all know you tiptoed up to 4-1 back in 08. If you could see me now, you'd be proud, though you think days you beat. Your funeral was beautiful, I bet God heard you coming. The kids are in town for a funeral, and the grass all smells the same as the day you broke your arm swinging on that kid out on the river. You bailed him out, never said a thing about Jesus or the way he's living. If you could see him now, you'd be proud, but you'd think days yuppies. Your funeral was beautiful, I bet God heard you coming. If you could see him now, you'd be proud, but you'd think days yuppies. Your funeral was beautiful, I bet God heard you coming. The kids are in town for a funeral, so pack the car and dry your eyes. I know they got plenty young blood left in them, and plenty nights under pink skies you taught them to enjoy.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly, into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly, into the light of a dark black night. Singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
What a life. Wow. Wow is right. Wow. Wow. There's not much to add to that. That is an incredible tribute to a life well lived. And yet we are left with grief and happiness, and it's confusing. But we have an opportunity to reflect upon our life and how our loved one occupied a space perhaps taken for granted. We know intellectually we will all die, but understanding and anticipating this does not prepare our hearts for the grief we will feel when, as an adult, we lose a child or a sibling. As you reflect on the memory of Dale, you are beginning the journey through the very personal stages of grief. Whether our loved one was near or far, were emotionally close or distant, they ground us in this world. We don't often think of them as an unseen anchor, but in truth, they hold a place in our generational timeline. The death of a son, a sibling, a loved one, delivers us to a world we may have thought about, but couldn't possibly prepare for. We are suddenly exploring new terrain, feeling rootless or as if the ground has been pulled from under us, and in a way, it has. As we heal, we have the opportunity to have a new relationship with Dale. Not a physical relationship, but one where Dale lives on in your heart. You will continue to remember him, to think of him, tell stories about him, and continue to love him for the rest of your lives, until perhaps you meet again. Little by little, we withdraw our energy from the loss and begin to invest it back into life. We put the loss into perspective, learning how to remember our loved one and commemorate the loss. In the days to come, as time passes, it will hurt, but in time, it will hurt less frequently. All that Dale was to each one of you, all the kindness, the memories, and the love that you share have not died. That depth of love, that depth of caring is everlasting. We can never replace him, but he can strengthen your families and your connections to loved ones as you find new and deeper meaning in your existing relationships. In times of loss, it is in the embrace of family, friends, coworkers, community that we find comfort. And yet, grief will have its way. Grief is a normal response to life's losses, as well as a natural part of a cycle of change. It is not an event, but a process which takes time to unfold. Think of it as a journey where sometimes you may resist it, but when you sink into it, it is a reflection of the depth of the love that you had for Dale. Washington Irving once said, "There is a sacredness in tears. They are not the mark of weakness, but of power. They speak more eloquently than 10,000 tongues. They are messengers of overwhelming grief, of deep contrition, and of unspeakable love." As you remember Dale's journey and offer your final farewells, hold on to the precious memories that bind you together and celebrate a legacy of a life well lived. May Dale's spirit find eternal peace. May his memory continue to shine brightly in the hearts of all who knew and loved him. May you cherish the moments you have shared and carry forward the lessons of his life as a beacon of love and hope. May you carry forward his legacy with love, compassion, and a deep appreciation for the preciousness of the gift of life. May you honor his memory by living your lives to the fullest with a generous, kind heart, and then you will truly honor Dale's life. Thank you. It has been an honor to guide this celebration of Dale's life. And this concludes the formal part of our celebration of Dale. But as has been mentioned, there will be plenty of food and time to share more stories. And the family, again, thanks you all so much for being here. Thank you. The funeral attendants will come and guide you to the reception area now, and the family will remain seated until the very end. Thank you all for being here.
once where we shall meet again. If ever the time keeps flowing like a river to the sea.
Dad is blown across the ocean. Leaving just a memory.